off to my favorite type of call ever. We get them all the time. Something I never went to school for, that I don't have a skill set in, and something that is literally done by guess and by golly. I'm off to a really expensive clothing store because they have a bad smell. It's fascinating to me that is a thing. I mean, I understand how venting works and, floor drains work and P-traps work and all the rest of that stuff, but there's nothing stranger in my entire career than showing up in a residence or a place of business and just going, everybody says, "Can you smell that?" I'm like, no, I can't. Rarely out of I've probably done this 1,000 times over my career, and maybe 500 times. 1,000 seems a bit much, but maybe, I don't know. But out of the 500 times that I've been called out to smell the smells, is I probably have actually smelt it 5 or 6 times, and that's because it's a huge cesspool of shit. You're like, oh yeah, that's obviously a broken pipe under a trailer or something like that. That actually reminds me of a story. We did some work for a local First Nation around here, and they had a school, like it was a K to 5. It was all trailers. And sometime over, I don't know when, the sewer, how they sling those pipes from the underside of the trailer, one of those supports broke and the ABS snapped. And for probably 3 months, that sewage just poured underneath there. And it was before Instagram. It was before even phones had a camera in them, or a good camera. I had to put on like the whole rubber suit and put a mask on, and I army crawled through the length of 3 trailers to get to this stupid thing, because they had decking and all, playground. Anyway, it was a big deal. Looking at the maggots that were this close to my face, and then had to roll over on my back after I drug my stuff in. Made the fix and army crawled out. It was one of the most disgusting jobs I've ever done in my entire life. And I don't do very many trailers. You see them in Texas and all over the place actually, but I probably have done a dozen trailers. They're terrible. I don't know how anybody lives in those things. And we might as well go a little bit political here. They actually shut down part of downtown Calgary yesterday because of protests over what's happening over in Israel and Palestine. Now, I'm not going to comment on any of that because I know nothing. I mean, I know what everybody else knows, which is basically nothing. I don't have a dog in any of those fights. I think both sides are absolutely acting asinine, and they are just using young people as fodder for their little land war. I don't think there is a single redeeming quality of Hamas. They had their democratic elections 17 years ago and haven't had one since. And just like here in Canada, when you elect a party, then that party decides not to hold any elections. They hold sway over so much that you can't control, and that's, it's not a comparison to, the liberal and conservative debate here in Canada. But those governments in a democratically elected or run society last for 4 or 5 years, and there's really nothing you can do to change what they want to do. That's just how it goes. Carbon tax is a perfect example. You can't. I think Trudeau decided not to charge half the country as an election approaches, no doubt. So Hamas had one election, got in, and now they run that country, and they, treat the citizenry of that country as fodder, as far as I'm concerned. And Israel. Clearly, these are all my own opinions, but I'm not coming at them blindly. Benjamin Netanyahu, by every measure that I can see, is a war criminal. And the IDF does awful and terrible things at the behest of that leadership. So it's kind of like suing somebody. The only people that make any money off of those lawsuits are the lawyers and the judges and the court system. Everybody else just gets ground up in emotional distress and pays the price for that. And that's, I think, was akin to what's happening in the Middle East. There is there's a lot of people getting very, very wealthy off of the slaughter of innocent men, women, and children on both sides. So I don't know how that ends. I guess my point is I don't know what having a protest in downtown Calgary does. What political sway do you think our mayor or premier and frankly prime minister has over anything that happens over there? It doesn't make any sense. It was in the previous channel, I was bemoaning the fact that our newly elected mayor was suing Ottawa, the city of Ottawa. I'm like, how is that even in your jurisdiction? How do you have any say in what happens over there? Like, that's nothing but political theater. And so I do think that much of what we see, and no matter what you think of what's happened over the last 3 or 4 years, it's clear that the media these days are giving talking points. Whether you consider that dishonest or disingenuous, I don't know. But they clearly have a message that they are asked to present, and they present it. So I think lots of what we see out there is not necessarily what's going on there, and that can be, equated with Ukraine, with Israel and Palestine, with COVID, with climate change. I mean, you can pick any topic you want, and there is a narrative that needs to be sold in order to benefit and enrich certain individuals and companies and parties and whatever the case may be. It's a big, twisted mess. And as I've said before, as I wrap this up, you should focus your efforts and your strengths on the people within your circle, which are generally your family, obviously, and the people that you spend your time with, and people that you hold dear. That's my suggestion. Keep your circle tight, influence the ones that you can within that circle, and do the best that you can in whatever arena you fight in. Seize the day, win the fight, have an excellent hump day. Those are, of course, my thoughts, not yours. That's it. That's all I